Aloha, and welcome to the opening of the 28th Legislature. Thank you all for joining us. Wow, only in Hawaii can you experience a legislative opening with so many flowers of aloha. On behalf of my colleagues, I would like to thank our families, our friends, and our well-wishers for these beautiful expressions. These flowers bring to mind this song made popular by the folk trio Peter, Paul, and Mary.
Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Young girls have picked them, everyone. Oh, when will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn?
While this recording dates back more than 50 years, the power of its message has not diminished with time. These lyrics got me thinking and asking, where have all our beaches gone? Where has all the Hawaiian entertainment in Waikiki gone? Where are the koa and ohia lehua trees, the fish and opihi? And when will we ever learn that once it's lost, we may not be able to get it back? From 1935 through 1975, the world tuned in to their radios to hear the voice of Webley Edwards. Each week on his Hawaii Calls broadcast, he invited the world to experience our Hawaiian Islands, our culture, our music. The show at its peak was heard over 750 stations around the globe. Fortunately, most of the Hawaii Calls programs are not lost. In fact, we will soon be realizing our goal of capturing and preserving our cultural past. 2 years ago, Senator Brickwood Galutaria and I proposed establishing a Center for Hawaiian Music and Dance. And the legislature members, we appropriated funds to the Hawaii Tourism Authority, and the groundwork has been laid. Tourism Chair Gilbert Kahele and I are happy to report that we are on track to construct this facility atop the Hawaii Convention Center. It will house, preserve, and maintain our Hawaiian music of yesterday and today, and capture the stories of our talented musicians and kumuhula before their work is lost. We are doing this for the future generations so that they too will have a lasting appreciation and understanding of our enriching heritage. With the help of the Hawaii Tourism Board Chair, Aaron Salah, our program later this morning will highlight a part of this past. When Hawaii Calls opened each week with the sounds of the gentle surf on the beach at Waikiki, no one ever thought we'd be asking, where have all the sand on our beaches and our native Hawaiian forests gone, and what are we doing about it? Sadly, we are witnessing a significant depletion of sand on our famous beaches. 2 years ago, the Department of Land and Natural Resources added 24,000 cubic yards of sand to Waikiki Beach at a cost of $2 million. But a UH study found that 1/4 of the sand was gone a year later. Can you imagine how economically and environmentally devastating it will be if we cannot find an effective solution to address this problem? Which is why the Energy and Environment Chair, Mike Gabbard, and I are proposing dedicated funding using existing TAT revenues for the maintenance and restorations of beaches across the state. This bill would make available a steady source of funds to implement recommendations from a joint DLNR county study and stay vigilant in preserving our marine environment. But just as devastating is invasive species, one of the greatest threats to our agriculture, our environment, and our health and our lifestyle. We simply cannot afford to let up on our efforts to aggressively find and eradicate these pests. In this vein, I am excited that in September of 2016, the World Conservation Congress will convene for the first time in 60 years in the United States. And they have chosen Hawaii as the host for the 17th Congress. Held every 4 years, this is the world's largest and most important conservation event. It aims to improve how we manage our natural environment. And this event will give us an opportunity to showcase to the 160 member countries and 8,000 delegates from around the world Hawaii's diversity in nature, culture, conservation, and sustainability. A huge mahalo has to go out to Chipper Wickman of the Federal National Botanical Gardens on Kauai for working tirelessly on this bid for the past 10 years, as well as the Department of Land and Natural Resources, which is the lead state agency. I pose another "where have they gone" question, and that is, where have all the voters gone? In the last election, Hawaii experienced a record low voter turnout. And while this body certainly supported initiatives to encourage greater participation, we must do better to remove all the barriers and excuses. All-mail elections should accomplish that. Both Oregon and Washington have implemented vote-by-mail elections, resulting in high voter participation rates of 70 to 80%. I look to our new Judiciary Chair, Keith Gil Agaran, to move us toward all-mail ballots to be phased in over the 2016 and 2018 elections. But colleagues, all-mail elections are just the means. People must want to exercise their fundamental right to vote. So we as legislators, we must do our part by restoring the public's trust in government, by giving them reasons to register and vote. As Senate President, I pledge to continue to bring transparency and accountability to the legislative process. Government officials should be held accountable for broken promises, for miscalculations and bloated assumptions. Therefore, I propose we establish an Office of the Inspector General that would investigate complaints alleging fraud, waste, abuse, or corruption. And I've asked Government Operations Chair Donovan De La Cruz to help shepherd this legislation. I also propose that we expand mandatory ethics training to all lobbyists, members of all boards and commissions, and employees responsible for procurement, for administering state contracts, or regulating private organizations. From a financial standpoint, we have good reason to be hopeful. The backbone of our economy has been our visitor industry and our very hard-working small businesses. And despite a recent report from the Council of Revenues and other forecasts indicating that our economy may be slowing, our year-to-date tax collections are up. Tourism is experiencing consecutive months of double-digit growth in arrivals and spending, and prompting the Council of Revenues to increase their forecast by 1%, which translates to $55 million a year. But colleagues, the state and the counties continue to face many fiscal challenges. As a former city council member, and I make note that there are 5 of us here in the Senate, we must work collaboratively with all the counties in addressing homelessness, providing affordable housing, and streamlining the land use process. With the Economic Development and Technology Chair, Glenn Wakai, we believe it's time to consider giving the counties more local control over land use classifications by eliminating the Land Use Commission and overlapping operations to make the permitting process more efficient. But with more control comes greater accountability. And in that regard, the counties are urged to step up the enforcement of transient vacation rental ordinances. The state and counties are losing millions of dollars in TAT and GET revenues, money which we cannot afford to ignore. So I am looking to Ways and Means Chair Jill Takuda to begin the discussion of whether the counties should be granted the option of enacting a 0.5% tax, provided that it is earmarked specifically for housing, transportation, road improvements, and transient vacation rentals enforcement. Hearings on this measure will allow the Transportation Committee, chaired by Clarence Nishihara, to scrutinize the rail financial plan and obtain a full accounting for the 0.5% tax surcharge the city has received thus far. Certainly, the issues facing us are daunting. So senators led by Majority Leader Kalani English have spent the last few months formulating the Senate's majority legislative program. Our focus is on energy and food resiliency, government effectiveness, and community well-being and smart growth. And this brings me to the Hawaii Health Systems Corporation. You know, HHSC is facing a $50 million shortfall for the next fiscal year and about $1 billion or more in capital improvements in the next decade. While we are on the verge of a public-private partnership for Maui, I call upon Health Chair Josh Green and Consumer and Commerce Protection Chair Roz Baker to finally resolve the HHSC issue. Human Services Chair Suzanne Chan Oakland has the challenging task of addressing our homeless population and the shortage of affordable housing, along with helping our family caregivers as they care for our kupuna. It will take all of us pulling together, the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, the counties, and the private sector to come up with viable solutions. Senators, throughout all our history, education has been the pathway to social and economic success for generations of island people. With the adoption of Acts 51 and 130, our students have since experienced unprecedented growth in our national assessment test scores in math and reading. Did you know that more students are graduating from high school, more enrolling in college, and fewer need remedial support? U.S. Secretary of Education Arne Duncan recently visited Hawaii, something that has not happened in over 20 years. And he spoke about Hawaii's performance, saying, "The progress has been extraordinary. Hawaii, by any objective measures, is one of the fastest improving states in the nation, top 5 states. But there is more work to be done. With Education Chair Michelle Kidani, we have every reason to expect more improvements in our public education system, especially given our new governor's commitment and insight." In the same light, higher education is vital in helping diversify our economy with jobs that pay a living wage for our workers. Public education is driven by the University of Hawaii system. The 3 baccalaureate campuses and 7 community colleges ensure that our people have the education they need to be ready to compete and be successful in this workforce. Note, too, that education has grown into an industry in itself. For instance, UH has brought in $400 million in research dollars in FY 2014 and is currently 12 to 15% ahead of the pace for this year. But you know, not enough is said about the vital role of our community colleges in providing an affordable and flexible education. Their graduation rates have doubled, and students who go on to receive degrees in STEM have increased 15-fold. Students are better prepared to move on to higher degrees or succeed in the workforce. And many are finding success in Hawaii's fashion industry, which is generating more than $750 million in annual sales, $20 million in tax revenues, and 3,600 jobs with huge potential growth. Kini Zamora of Kapolei and Waianae's Ari South are shining examples of the university's role in career development. Kini was one of the top 3 finalists in season 13 of the popular and my favorite Project Runway TV series. And Ari also finished in the top 3 in season 8. Even after attending the prestigious Fashion Institute of Technology in New York, Kini said that they were teaching the same things he learned at HCC. I'm sorry that Kini and Ari could not be with us today, although they wanted to be. But with Kini and Ari joining the ranks of our Made in Hawaii businesses like Tory Richards, Iolani Sportswear, Mamo Howell, and others, Hawaii can surely compete in a fashion powerhouse and attract international students to our fashion program. The Culinary Arts program at the various community college campuses is another example of education as an industry. The advanced training being developed by the Culinary Institute of the Pacific will train students to excel in the culinary arts and restaurant management, as well as attract students from Asia, Europe, Canada, and the mainland who want to come here to learn about our regional cuisine. It is a shame, though, that this project has lagged. So Higher Education Chair Brian Taniguchi and I will work to ensure that construction begins soon on the first phase of this long-awaited facility at KCC on the slopes of Diamond Head. With renowned local chefs like Roy Yamaguchi. Roy, please stand. And Alan Wong, Russell Siu, Sam Choi, and others, this has got to be a priority. Ladies and gentlemen, the Senate is a body of highly capable and dedicated individuals, and I am humbled to serve as president. I thank you, members, for this privilege. While we represent different constituency, we share a commitment and responsibility to do the people's business, always mindful that the voters have entrusted us with their future. The Senate stands ready and committed to collaborate with Speaker Suki and the members of the House of Representatives, with our lone Republican, Sam Sloan, with our mayors and county officials. We are eager to work with our former Senate colleagues, the new Governor, David Ige, Lieutenant Governor Shan Tsutsui, and an Ige administration that is committed to putting people back to work. There is no one who better understands the state's challenges of balancing the needs of our citizens with our limited state resources than the former chair of the Senate Ways and Means Committee, Governor Ige. Governor, I'm confident that together we will listen and work in the best interests of the people we represent. While I began today concerned about what Hawaii has lost over time, I am nevertheless very optimistic about our future. A future that includes the aerospace industry and space tourism championed by Senator Will Sparrow, which is projected to be a $1 million industry in Hawaii one day. Hawaii has an incredible history of achievement. We are the beneficiaries of the hard work, sacrifices, and spirit of hope of our parents and those who came before us. There is absolutely no reason why, together, we cannot continue to build on the legacy we've inherited. Hawaii's own Marcus Mariota said it best at a news conference after he accepted the prestigious Heisman Trophy. Marcus told reporters, "In Hawaii, when one person is successful, the whole state is successful." Mahalo, Marcus, for the success you have brought to our great state. We join you in thanking all the people who nurtured, mentored, and sacrificed to help you be successful, and in the process, lift us all. Marcus joins other Keiki o Ka'aina, like President Obama, Grammy Award winner Bruno Mars, Maui Shane Victorino, and a host of island people who are just as accomplished and successful in their own fields and in their own lives. I'd like to close by acknowledging the sacrifices of my mother, and in particular, my son Micah, who has been my inspiration. Yes, our children are the reasons for us to put aside partisan politics and individual differences. Let us dedicate ourselves to preserving what we treasure, to what makes Hawaii special. There is much we can do, because all is not lost yet. Colleagues, we have been given much. And as it is often quoted, to whom much is given, much is expected. The expectation is for us to work together to make Hawaii a place we can be proud to leave our children. Mahalo nui loa.